Yeah, we met this morning for a few minutes just to see how his trip went, and he seems to be pretty ecstatic to be back in the organization. So I don't think it's a situation where he ever wanted to leave, but it's just part of the business. But it's really nice to have him back.
Do you know what your rotation will be this weekend yet?
He's definitely starting Friday, and then we'll go from there. I mean, obviously we got Wilkes-Barre at home here, and then Springfield. I think what we'll do here moving forward is kind of work VTech in like we did with Copley 2 years ago. Spot start him with the right games at the right times, and I think that's what the plan would be right now. But we're going to go game to game, but Cops will definitely play Friday night in Syracuse.
Does this mentally give everybody kind of a boost right now?
Well, we hope so. I think that once the players see him make the saves that we've seen 2 years ago, over the course of a hockey game, I think that'll certainly give the guys a lift at pockets of the game when you need it. So, obviously half our roster is very familiar with him, so they already know what he's been capable of. It's just a matter of the newer additions here in the last 2 seasons to get familiar with how he plays and what he brings to the table.
Is this something that you needed to compete in this division? Every team that's in the playoffs spot now has a real number one goalie.
Well, I looked at our division, and besides Hartford, our goalie numbers are the worst in the division with Hartford. So, the numbers are the numbers, and when you go through the top, specifically the 4 teams that are ahead of us in the playoffs, they've got legit ones and some pretty good twos. Because I think we'd take D. Smith as a starter, so that's how good Wilkes-Barre's tandem is. So it's a situation where VTech has had a good season for us so far, but he is 21 years old. And there was pockets of the year where he had his struggles, but it's normal, and he's got a bright future for us. We just needed someone else in there, and unfortunately, Canada he's had a tough year, and the numbers dictate that as well. So hopefully, Cops can come in and give us that bona fide number one goalie that can get us some extra points here down the stretch and get us into that 3rd or 4th spot, which I don't think is out of the question.
Staying within your structure, but can your players play a little bit more, not risk, but more up-tempo game now, knowing that they have him back there?
Well, I don't think we want to get away from our defensive structure. I think for the most part this season we've talked a lot about being good defensively and not giving up chances. And Sunday was a prime example in Bridgeport where VTech was good, but we only gave up 7 chances and we lost 2-1. So we don't want to change that. I think offensively we've been a good team, but now we've missing some pieces as well. Verana's up, Barber's up. You take Sanford out of the lineup, we may not be as strong offensively now than we were 3 or 4 days ago. So we'll just have to see what the lineup looks like Friday night here once the trade deadline's over.
How do things change with Malone gone and Sanford gone? The 2 guys with the gas.
Well, I think that Malone had a couple of healthy scratches here recently just with our vet problem. Ryan Bork has been such a big part of our team since we acquired him last year, and he was getting a little bit of the brunt of the veteran scratch. So we wanted to get him back in the fold just with his work ethic, and he is our best penalty killer. So Malone was, seeing a little bit of time in the press box. So I think that Sajak is filled in there nicely, and maybe hopefully by the end of the day, maybe we'll have another depth center, because all of a sudden Sanford, who could have been that guy, is gone as well. So we're not quite as deep up the middle as maybe we were here yesterday.
Lastly, just with the playoff push here for your team, you added a big piece, message in the locker room going into this weekend. Critical 6 points on the line, a big divisional game Saturday at home. What's kind of the message been here once this distraction, the trade deadline, comes to a close?
Well, I think we really can't change our attitude in terms of going into a week-to-week basis. Last weekend we went into the weekend trying to get 4 to 6, and we got 4. And it would have been nice to get 6, because that would have really put Bridgeport, forced them to win their 2 games in hand. But we weren't able to come up with that. So we just got to kind of take care of business. And if you can win the next 7 weeks, that puts us at 95 points, 14 wins, and that's kind of. From a coaching side of things, that's what I've kind of looked at. We're not going to talk to the players about the big picture of that. And maybe 95 doesn't even get us in. But I think if you win 14 games with the teams you're playing, that should get you in, because there's so much divisional matchups.
Are you expecting the Barbs to be paper transactions today?
Oh, 100% there'll be paper transactions. I don't know if they'll send one of the 2 down to possibly play Friday. Once the trade deadline's over today, we'll get an update on Oshie as well. And one of them will have to stay because they won't have enough forwards. But with them playing at home tomorrow night and Saturday, They don't usually like to have 13 forwards around unless they're on the road. So I could see us potentially getting one of those two guys back, but we'll just have to see what happens here before the deadline here at 3.
Everybody hears what it's like for NHL coaches at this time of year. What's it like for an AHL coach?
Well, it's a little bit of the same thing because you can lose multiple players, and I guess Hershey's a little bit different because Washington, I think, has done a nice job of trying to, not only help us get to the playoffs, but win Calder Cups as well. They did it last year. We just tweaked the roster with Ryan Bork because Paul Carey was out for the season. This year, clearly there was a need for a number one goalie, and they went out and they targeted 4 or 5, and at the end of the day, probably got the guy that we all wanted. And they've addressed their team as well. So, I think that hopefully maybe there's another minor move or two here today for us. But at the end of the day, I think, with Copley in place and Gilbert here to help, Nesser back, and them having 8D in Washington, it certainly strengthens 2 areas of the team that I thought was maybe a little bit of a weakness for us.
Does it send a message to the room that the Caps expect this to be a playoff team? They expect it to do some damage?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that the guys know that we are in the toughest division in the league this year, unfortunately, and it's going to take 90-plus points to get in. So it's if we were in any other division in this league right now, we'd be preparing for playoffs and just trying to win some games and go to the playoffs on a high note. Where here it's like every game now is a playoff, and we got 20 games left.